We are live. Welcome to the Rome Show podcast. I have the CEO of the Radio Fam. How you doing?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. I really appreciate you for taking time out coming on the podcast.
Yeah, of course.
So, for the people on my platform, you want to tell them how you got the Radio Fam started, and a little bit about your brand and what you do.
Yeah, I it started as an Instagram account. Is kind of what I tell people. So in 2017, I just kind of started it as a way because people weren't really, I guess, the radio industry wasn't like utilizing social media well from their talents, I guess. So I was like, oh, maybe if I create some kind of, radio, social media or something that I can grow, that maybe I could sell a couple posts, for $50 a post. And I could show people that like they can sell their social media. And then before it even really got to that, it started to become like its own little community. And it was kind of like on accident. I didn't realize that was going to happen, but it was fun for me to just meet people across the country and also to just kind of have more, I guess, excitement about what was happening in radio because I was only seeing what was going on in Denver, so I just thought like, oh, everywhere's like where I was living in Denver. But then I was, started to follow other people on social media and I'm like, oh, wow, people are doing other fun things in different cities. And so then, yeah, then it just keeps growing. And then over the pandemic is when I actually like kind of changed it into a business in a way, like where I could actually sell like merch and stuff like that, like on the website and things like that. And now have a podcast and all that.
Super dope. Is it just you, or you have like a team to help you out?
It's just me, actually. Yeah. I have like a graphics guy that that does my graphics for the podcast that I send and stuff like that. Or I use like a social media scheduling program, which I haven't really been posting on Instagram anyway, but I do use that. Otherwise, though, it is just me.
Wow. Yeah, because I do my stuff just me by myself too. It's
Yeah,
lots of work, lots of work.
it is like editing video and all that kind of stuff, I bet, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how do you balance all your time with like work and then like personal life?
Yeah, I mean, that's tough. I should be better about it, but I do have some days where I'm pretty good about just like, I don't feel like doing something today, so I'm not going to force myself. I think as creatives, it's so hard to, keep doing content. And so I just try to, I guess, just be mindful about it. I try to listen to like my body, if I'm pretty bad at like setting a schedule. But I just try to listen to my body and go, like, hey, I'm not feeling creative today, so I'm not going to edit today, and just kind of, yeah, just listen to myself.
So, what was it that inspired you? Like, okay, I'm gonna make the Radio Fam, and this is it.
And what inspired? I think as it just kept growing, I think that's what kind of keeps the inspiration is having people, reach out and, say things like, oh, I really love your account. Like, or people that like meet each other. Like, I love when people go and meet up because they've met through the account or something like that. So I think just getting the positive messages, the DMs and stuff all the time just keeps me inspired to keep it going.
Super cool. And how long has it been since you guys
Um, So it's almost 6 years. So in this summer, it'll be 6 years since it like first started. But I'd say since it like really grew, into something I guess more people know about, probably since the pandemic started. So like 3 years ago.
Yeah, super cool. You have a building yet or not yet?
No, nope. Just definitely do not. And probably won't, only because I don't really want to pay rent for that. So right now it's just like my room, so I've got some stuff in the background, like in my little studio thing here.
Super fire, super fire.
Yeah.
And you're 100% independent, right?
Yep. Except, I mean, yes, for this, but I do have like a full-time job. I'm an executive assistant, remote. So I just, uh, keep other people organized and do their, calendar management and book their travel and stuff like that. So that pays like the bills. And that's really what mostly funds what I do. I would love it to grow some more to where, I'm just working for the Radio Fam and I can hire people. But, for now I have to have a job that pays the bills to fund the fun stuff.
Right. Perks being independent.
Yeah, exactly.
And you said you like, what if like your career just like kicked off crazy and you were able to get like that big building and create like a big agency? Would you do it or no?
Probably, I think, with the right people, I probably would. Yeah. Because I think I've met a lot of cool people along the way that all have different kinds of skills and it'd be kind of cool to put everybody together.
Right. Super cool.
Yeah.
What's a few things that you haven't done yet with the radio fam that you want to do?
Ooh, I think the main one that comes to mind is I want to have more like educational series or things that people can, register for, whether it's like a one showcase thing or one, like, let's say somebody wants to learn how to set up a podcast and they don't know, or, or edit video or something. So I would love that if I had like somebody teaching that, to other people, and like those people can like take the class, from a fellow radio person or something, or just have more presentations and stuff for people. I want stuff that people can actually learn some, which I am working on. It's just, tough being one person, but we're getting there. We'll have some fun stuff coming.
Right. It's a lot of work when you're doing it by yourself too.
Yes.
And where are you located?
So technically the business is based in Denver because that's where I started it, but I recently moved to Washington State. So I'm physically in Washington State, but technically the address and stuff, if you order products, they come from Denver.
Right. If you had who do you want to work with as far as like maybe like a partnership, maybe interview them?
Oh man. There's a lot of people. I mean, it'd be cool. I mean, I bring up Carla Marie and Anthony a lot. They are just because I use them as an example of like, people doing something out of radio and being able to make it work. And, it's not easy. It's a lot of work. So I guess it'd be cool if we had some more official stuff going on. We kind of collab on a few things, I guess, but it would be cool. Yeah. If it was some like full blown age, like I would love if the radio fam had like its own radio station, and then like I could have them, do like a show and have just kind of like random people, but we'll see.
That'll happen.
Yeah. Maybe one day.
I like to ask my guests a motivational question.
Okay.
What's a few things that you do on a day you feel off to make yourself feel back on?
I think just disconnecting, trying not to work. Sometimes I'm bad like about not sending or responding to text messages, but sometimes I just kind of need that like chill time. And then also recently I've been better about like actually working out, so that's kind of helped with like anxiety and stuff like that. So
cool.
Yeah.
So the radio fam, you got a lot going on.
Yeah.
What's one thing that is like you haven't done that you got to do? Like, all right, I got to make this happen by the end of this year.
Oh, by the end of this year. Oh God. Probably right now, just the collab, like, right. I'm collabing with, Morning Show Boot Camp, which is like a radio, event, and not just for morning shows, anybody can come. And so I think just getting through that successfully, because it is in August. And so, but it's new, we changed the location this year. There's just like a lot of stuff that's different that I'm helping with. So I think right now, just getting through that successfully will be what is kind of the main goal for this year.
Cool. Hope it goes through.
What was that?
I hope it goes through.
Yeah, me too. Should be fun.
Right. What's some advice you could give to a person who wants to start something similar to the radio fam or just start a brand in general?
To be consistent, and that doesn't mean that you have to be like every day and do something, but I think, if you're going to start a podcast or start, some social media thing that you're going to post on, I think it's important, some people will be like, okay, well, I got to do it 5 days a week, but it's hard to, do that because you get maxed out, you get burnt out. So I encourage people, I'm like, start smaller, start with once a week and see if you can maintain that. And then you can build up, because it's a lot worse to start something and have all this and then scale it back. And then I would say not give up. Like, it takes so long, for people to really understand who you are, to do it's, it's a slow going process. And even some of these shows like Carla Marie and Anthony and some other people, they haven't really seen successes until, 2.5 years or so sometimes. So I think sometimes you just think like, well, gosh, is anybody paying attention? Nobody's doing this, but just, I think you keep going and keep being consistent. And that's something I'd say, like for you, I've noticed you, doing your content for a long time now, and you stay consistent. You stay. And I even the other day, somebody needed advice for something, how to be on social media, and based on her skills, I was like, you should go check out this guy, like check out what he does. And so it's because a lot of people start it and then they don't continue, but I've noticed that you've continued for quite a while. So
yeah. I mean, for me, I think consistency is number one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. And
That's
you probably see it Yeah, and then people kind of, they know who you are. You're in the fist. It's like, you sliding into my DMs, about like, hey, want to come on the podcast? I'm like, oh yeah, I know exactly who you are. I know the content. Whereas like, other people, I'm like, I don't know this person at all. I don't know what they put out.
That's true.
Yeah.
So like, the way you run your social media, are you like picky who you follow?
No, I think if they're a radio person, like, if they either went to school for radio, or even if they just have like a podcast or something, if they have some kind of love for radio, I'll follow them. Sometimes I'm surprised I miss people. Sometimes I'm like, how did I not see that? Because I try to see everybody that comes in, but sometimes I do. And I'm like, oops, follow back.
Right. And, you're really good with your, like, the way you built your community.
Uh-huh.
I know you spent 6 years. How did you kind of get your community built?
I think I have a good sense of like reading people, and then also just, I pay attention to comments and what people like. And, because even at the beginning, it actually originally wasn't called the Radio Fam. It was actually called like Radio in the Streets, because I am in promotions. So like, I thought, well, I'll just post about promotion stuff and stuff in the streets that I know, because I'm not an on-air person. I don't know on-air stuff. But there wasn't a lot of like promo people that were on Instagram at the time. And then, I started to realize, well, if I start posting like talent, like see what they like to be featured, there's egos and they want to be featured. So I just started kind of learning that, and then sometimes it's just kind of training the audience at like how I want them to engage with me. So like when stories, and then it becomes the community. So when the stories first became a thing, I started like, and that's before you could like share people's reels into your story. So I would screen record each person's story, or like any video I found. And I would screen record their stuff, chop it down to 15 seconds, and then post it in the story and tag them. So then they would be like, oh, cool. And then they would share what I put them in. And then, so then it started to kind of train them to start tagging me in their own stories. So then I could reshare it. So then started doing that, and then people start seeing what other people are sharing, responding. It's really funny. One year, like the most viral thing that I think that happened was like right before the pandemic, and somebody made a comment, an observation that like they're like, all radio stations have the same carpet. It was like this pattern of carpet. And they put it in my stories. And then all these other people from all across the world were responding and being like, yeah, we have the same carpet too. And it was like a whole thing for like a whole weekend of just constantly. So it was funny to see people sharing this like common bond, or another one. There's like these meat, I don't know if you have them near you, but there's these meat remotes that come by, and they're the trucks that sell, 20 ribeyes for $40. It used to be $25. But they're like these remotes because they usually come for a weekend, and they buy spots on all these radio stations, and they do tons of remotes and everything. So people are starting to learn like, oh, you're not in radio now until you've done a meat remote truck. So it's kind of cool to see, and then that's where I take a lot of those inside jokes, put stuff like on the t-shirts and everything. Just kind of observing how people interact with each other. And I just kind of in that middle piece, I guess, to keep the community together.
Right. And yeah, your merch is very fire too. I gotta get some.
Thank you. So is yours.
Thank you. When did you start your merch actually?
That was during the pandemic. And that was, for people that don't like, I'd always wanted to have merch, but I went through the thing. I didn't know that like print on demand was a thing that you could just, order and it comes. Because I used to be like, well, what colors do I need? What sizes? Where am I going to store this stuff? How do I know what shirts people are actually going to buy? So I didn't know like how to even start anything. But then when during the pandemic, I went down like a YouTube rabbit hole. And then I learned that, oh, you can make merch that doesn't, which is great. It doesn't, it's not wasteful in the sense that you don't just have all this extra stuff. You pay for it when you sell it, and you're, you get less profit that way. But, unless you're somebody that's selling shirts all the time, it's not worth like just having it all at your house and everything. So that was really cool to just be able to let people, wear stuff that they want to, and, and just see my logo. I mean, when I first created the logo, cause it wasn't a logo right at the start, it looked different. So it didn't even have a color yet, but like I sent out all these like free stickers, and the logo is just gray and white. And so it's cool when I see stickers on people's laptops and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, wow, they have the OG sticker from back in the day.
Yeah, your logo's fire.
Thank you.
Would you do the Radio Fam tour?
Oh, like go to different cities and stuff?
Yeah, and then like do your podcast live?
Ooh, I don't podcast live. Maybe I'm not the like best live host yet. I would say, I say I sound better on my podcast because I edit it that way. But I would love to do some kind of, even if it's not podcast related, some kind of like different city, like meetup sort of thing, like for people that can't come to like a boot camp or something like that, but some kind of radio fam meetup and see, in the region and see who comes around and, just wants to be around like-minded people.
Right. Yeah, you gotta let me know when you do that.
Yeah, yeah. You're on the East Coast, right? Yeah.
Yep. What's how can I say this? What's your like creative routine like when you want to come up with ideas?
Smoke a little weed, if I'm being honest. There's a little bit of that. And I think I just have a really creative mind to begin with. I feel like I'm always my brain's just always going. I'm always thinking. I always have ideas. So I haven't really like burned out, I guess, of being creative. I think again, when I do, it's like when I take that time for myself, but really what inspires it, anything, or even just like talking to people, just brainstorming with people. And then I just sit and think on it for a while. And then it starts like, oh, okay, I can do this and come up with this idea. And then I have too many ideas and then I sound crazy.
Yeah, it gets like that sometimes.
Yeah.
So, as far as like the Radio Fam podcast, what's a couple of new things that you're about to do with it?
Oh, I don't know, new stuff. I don't know. I want to do more new stuff with it, but I think we're going to have this year, it's actual, in regards to Morning Show Boot Camp, we're going to have like the creator of it on there, which I haven't told him yet that he's going to be on it, but he's going to be on it to kind of talk, some of the history and that. I do have some other people planned that are like, I guess, more legends, I guess, in the industry. But that's typically, not mine. Folks, they get all the attention anyway. So I try to, do people that aren't necessarily everybody knows, and everything. So yeah, I wouldn't say there's really a ton of new stuff. I have some new imaging that is, I got voiced and I just need to have it produced right now and put in. So
super cool. Super fun. What's, I know you've been talking about a lot of new things you got coming up. What else can your fans and the people expect to see?
Man. So eventually coming up. I was like, I don't want to say too much without like being like, well, I don't really have a timeline. But more new merch, stuff like that. More of me showcasing like a lot of like, I sell a lot of vintage stuff. So a lot of like, I love, since I was in promotions, I love like old radio station t-shirts or just like other unique, I'm trying to see if I have anything next to me. Just other unique, like, old school stickers and stuff like that. Like but a lot of it I have that I haven't showcased enough. So I want to start doing more content and letting people know. Cause there's a lot of people that just find like the history of certain radio stations cool. And then being like, wow, that's a cool old logo on that, like random football or something.
Right. And, you have any partnerships with your brand or just,
they're unofficial. Like, again, like I would say Morning Show Boot Camp, they're more kind of collab style like that, but yeah, nobody official. So I have lots of conversations with people, but still kind of just operating on my own. So
like super fire.
Yeah.
Before we wrap it up, what kind of advice can you give as far as like the way the world is now, like with work, working on your brand and, being independent?
Mm-hmm.
How do you keep yourself going?
I would say advice for people. I guess really take time, I guess, to think about like what actually makes you happy. There's a kind of a common theme that I bring up a lot because, and I don't know if it's so much anymore, but, a lot of people are, they work in radio and they're like, okay, I need to get to the big market. I constantly need to market chase and up and be on a morning show. And I need to go to New York and all those things. But then they don't evaluate kind of the rest of what's going on in their life. So sometimes it's like, great, we get the morning show and we get everything we want, but like, why am I not happy? Oh yeah, because like I hate the city I live in. I'm not happy at home. I hate all these things. So then it's like, so it's like, is that really a dream job? So, and I think people have been better about that in general in society. And I think the pandemic helped with that is, finding what people value. But that's always like the advice is to kind of just always sit down with yourself and constantly be asking, like what does make me happy? Do I like living here? Do I like this part? And then the little thing, and if you don't, to fix those little things, and whether that's your job, whether that's not, and also think about why you do radio. Everybody does it for different reasons. Some people don't necessarily want to be on a morning show, but they know that that gets paid the most, so it's like, which I think, more of them should also be paid better anyway.
Right.
But, it's like, what are other ways that, because some people, they're in radio because they want to give back to their community or something. But there's been people who have learned like, oh, I can start a podcast and I can also still give back to my community in a different way and still feel fulfilled. And I didn't need the radio station to do that. So yeah, just constantly talk to yourself, even if it makes you sound crazy.
Right. When you say talk to yourself, is that a conversation out loud, or is that you think it to yourself?
Both. I'm definitely a talk out loud person for sure. And definitely in my head too. But yeah, sometimes I'm catching myself and I'm like, wait, nobody's around. Okay, they didn't hear me talking.
Right. I just did an interview a few days ago and we talked about the same thing. So.
Oh, you did?
In the third person. I call it meetings.
Yep. It's true. I know. And yeah, the whole positive affirmations that they say, that's good too, thinking positive and, and yeah, and asking for help, when you need it, even if it's just somebody to talk to,
Right. Really helps too.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I really appreciate you for doing this.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me on.
Definitely keep doing what you're doing. Keep helping people. When you put me on the Radio Fam IG, it was a booster. Put a chip on my shoulder.
Oh, good. I love it. I love when you tag me and stuff.
Definitely. Yeah. Maybe we could do another interview soon.
Yeah.
Okay. Definitely. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Do we hang it up or? I was gonna say, like, do you have to go or like this second, or would you have time? Like, if we wanted to, like, maybe record a little bit for mine, would you have time? Or if not, we can do it another time.
No, I got time.
You got time? Okay. I am going to open up this one. So on Twitter, I'm going to send you, hold on, if this will, so I'm going to have you record it in I used to use StreamYard, but now I use this Riverside thing. So hold on. Let's see. Because I figure it's with our schedules, if we're already here, and I know you filled out my thingy. Hold on. Enter studio. Okay.
Oh, so you're going to put me on your show too?
Yeah, if that's okay.
Super fun.
I know it's on the spot, but I figure, like I said, we're here. Okay, so copy link. Okay, so I'm going to send you a link right now on Twitter.
Okay.
Okay, so just click into that one, and then I'm going to shut this one down. Okay. All right.
And I can use my phone with it. We are out.